Shang-Chi and his family are on a dangerous mission to rescue Shang's mother from the mystical realm of Tao La. Therefore, Shang's gonna need all the help that he can get. But what does all this have to do with the magical and majestic 10 rings? Hot damn on a stick, folks. Shang-Chi is really starting to get crazy with its story. Marvel's greatest fighter has had one hell of a transformation since Jean Luen Yang started penning his Avengers back in 2020, packed with revelations about the hero's origin and family, dangerous additions to his rogues gallery, and changes to his relationship with the wider Marvel universe. Shang-Chi's future is more unpredictable than ever before. And in addition to that, Marvel is unleashing the power of arguably some of the most incredible weapons in the entire MCU, that being the 10 rings. That's right, folks. The movie version of the 10 rings are coming to the comic book universe so that they can be inherited by Shang-Chi. Now, it's no secret that the recent Shang-Chi comics have been making great efforts to streamline and retcon large portions of the character's history in order to better match Simu Liu's fantastic performance from the big screen, along with, making it less racist. The 70s were a weird time for comics, folks. And so by discovering this brand new Legend of the 10 Rings, Marvel has seemingly decided to move away from the original 10 Rings concept with regards to the Mandarin, those rings forged from an alien spaceship, in an effort to make the connection with these new 10 rings to that of the realm of Tao La. Now, typically I can relate to the argument from readers who don't like it when a book takes cues from the movies. However, with regards to Shang-Chi in this series, Jean Luen Yang, he doesn't shove the movie stuff and restructure the whole book because holy crap, we gotta sell this book, but he does it in a way that's well paced. And because of that, it doesn't feel forced. Rather, it feels planned and on point with its plot. Basically, like any good writer should, he eases the reader into it, thereby making the story feel like it has merit and organic with its telling. We believe in the 10 rings not because it's synonymous with the film, but because in the realm of Tao La, they are used by the Jade Emperor, the ruler of Tao La. So yeah, essentially the 10 rings work. In terms of art, Marcus Tao crafts some beautiful artwork throughout the story. It's visually thrilling and the characters look fantastic, especially the Jade Emperor, who looked absolutely magnificent, and it's by far the best rendition of the character. Colorist Eric Archanaga absolutely brought his A game to this issue, especially during the scene when Shang-Chi was contacted by the dead. But aside from that, the real eye-catching panels are easily the ones with the 10 rings. They're so cool looking, and they're definitely the highlight of the artwork for the issue. And I love the similarities to the movie, how each user causes the rings to change color when it's being utilized, the Jade Emperor being green and Shang-Chi being gold. Also, the final standpoint was the evolved character design of the overpowered Chieftain Shin, which to me gave off the vibes of Bane, along with the crossover design from the Tekken franchise. It was menacing and insanely badass. Overall, this series continues to be thoroughly enjoyable to read with every new chapter. I'm excited to see how this arc will end and how it will bring us to the new series of Shang-Chi in July. Shang-Chi issue number 11 gets an 8 out of 10. Our story begins with Shang-Chi and his family, who have been reunited and are now together again as one family unit within the dimension of Tao La. And their mission is to rescue Shang's mother from his terrible grandfather. Sounds easy enough? However, before a minute can even pass, our heroes find themselves surrounded by palace guards, whom are servants to the Jade Emperor, and they view the group as intruders. Therefore, the guards sentence the group to death. Now, Shang-Chi is at the mindset of using words rather than fists in order to solve issues. And so from there, he introduces himself to the palace guard as Shang-Chi, the supreme commander of the Five Weapon Society. And he tells the guards that him and his family have no quarrel with their sovereign. Instead, I merely request your help in search of Chieftain Shin, of the Quinn Riders, whom in fact we do have quarrel with. However, the guards let Shang-Chi know that the Quinn Riders are the only mortals whom the Jade Emperor have deemed worthy for imperial service. Therefore, with Chieftain Shin being a compatriot to the palace guard, his enemies are their enemies as well. And so with things clearly getting awkward, the palace guard attack. Yet despite being outnumbered 10-1, our heroes are not going to go down without a fight. Thus, they defend themselves valiantly. However, Sister Hammer is having some issues during the fight, given the fact that one of her hands is missing. But luckily, Shang reveals that his people installed a device that is attached to her stump, and when activated via her mind, her stump forms a hammer. So yeah, she begins to smash dudes in the face. Eventually, after making quick work of the palace guard, this is where we see the arrival of the Jade Emperor, who lets the group know that holding their own against the palace guard is no small feat, especially for a group of mere mortals. But he poses the question, how will Shang-Chi and his family fare against the Jade Emperor himself? Thus, with being armed with the legendary 10 rings, the Jade Emperor completely decimates the good guys. And after using 5 of the rings to seize them, the Emperor asks his guard if the intruders spoke with regards to their presence here in Tao La, to which the guards inform him that the intruders had come for Chieftain Shin. And so, angered by the fact that Shin has attracted trouble to the realm when it was the chieftain's duty to keep the mortals from entering, the Jade Emperor quickly orders the palace guard to summon the chieftain to his throne room, effective immediately. Thus, this picks us up at the Quinn Riders' encampment, where Chieftain Shin arrives in the tent where Jing Li is being held captive. And while holding the severed hand of Sister Hammer, Jing Li demands to know on how her father could do such a terrible thing to his own granddaughter. But the chieftain ignores her, and after adding the severed hand to a cauldron, he lets his daughter know that it was necessary, because he needed Shang-Chi's flesh and blood to cast a spell that will empower him to the max, to make him powerful enough to erase Shang-Chi's evil from the world once and for all. Suddenly, Shin gets interrupted by his general, who lets the chieftain know that they have imperial visitors waiting to speak to him. And so, with just having completed the Tatawi mask spell, Jin orders the general that regardless of whatever happens to him, the Quinn Riders are to carry out their mission on Earth. Thus, with that said and done, Chieftain Shin goes out to greet the palace guard, only for the guards to let him know that the fierce deity, aka the Jade Emperor, summons him because he wishes to know on how 5 mortals were able to infiltrate the sacred realm of Tao La. Later, we pick up with Shang-Chi and his siblings, in prison within the dungeon beneath the Jade Palace, and with everyone giving up and essentially accepting defeat, Sister Hammer uses the opportunity to ask Shang-Chi on why he would even give her a hammer after everything she did to him in the previous issues. Like, bro, this doesn't make sense. I'm a terrible sister. But despite Hammer dishing facts of life, Shang-Chi tells his little sister that their grandfather had taken her arm, but that doesn't mean that he's going to let him take the rest of her too. Basically, girl, you needed a way to defend yourself. Plus, I still believe in you. I still believe that you can still escape our father's shadow. Afterwards, Shang-Chi hears a familiar voice that is calling out to him from the depths of his cell, only to find that it's the spirit of Zhang-Zhu, who's here to greet his most favorite son, letting him know that the psychonic abilities Shang-Chi inherited from his mother are quite powerful, and they are able to reach even the realm of the dead. Therefore, Zhang-Zhu has come here with a warning, because at this very moment, Shang-Chi's lunatic grandfather is making his way to the Jade Palace, seeking to end the line of Zhang-Zhu. In addition, the chieftain has also managed to create a powerful new weapon of magic, and is planning to use it on everything that is important to Zhang-Zhu. Therefore, Chang's family, along with innocent bystanders, are at risk. But luckily, there is a way to stop him, that being a set of magical weapons which are currently here within the Jade Palace. That being, of course, the 10 rings, the set of weapons that the Jade Emperor used to defeat them earlier in the book. Shang-Zhu lets Shang know that the rings were forged for destruction, which is why the Jade Emperor refuses to wear them in his throne room. And so because of that, he keeps him hidden away from the public eye. But Shang-Chi refuses to be like his father, and so Shang-Zhu leaves. But before he does so, he leaves his son with a thought. The thought of Shang-Chi and his siblings being reunited with their father in the realm of the dead. Because that's what's going to happen if you don't do as I say. You and everyone you love will die. Meanwhile, back at the Quinn Rider encampment, the general lets the riders know that they are to carry out the chieftain's commands, for they are to go through the old stone gateway to Earth. However, Jing Li is shown to be eavesdropping on the conversation, and after hearing everything, she uses her psychonic bond to ask one of the nearby Quins for help. And after breaking her free from her restraints, Jing Li managed to make her escape. Picking up in the throne room of the Jade Emperor, we have Chieftain Shin and his Quinn, bound before their sovereign, presenting themselves as the most humble servants of the great Emperor of Jade. Now, the Emperor lets Chieftain Shin know that the Quinn Riders have guarded the gateway between Earth and Tao La for many generations, and throughout this duration of time, Tao La has been without incident, until this morning, when 5 dirty mortals entered the dimension of Tao La without Imperial permission. Basically, Shin, you messed up. You allowed your drama to endanger the realm. From there, Chieftain Shin begins to beg for mercy, asking for permission to atone for his sins by taking care of the offending mortals himself. However, the Jade Emperor refers to the chieftain as a foolish human, letting him know that he will rot in a prison cell next to the intruders. Thus, he orders the guards to take Shin away since he can't stand the sight of failure. However, Shin lets the Jade Emperor know that he too hates failure, which is why he created the Tatawi masks. And with Shin putting on the mask on himself and his fellow Quinn, it forges his body anew, making him more powerful than His Majesty can ever imagine. Thus, they decimate the palace guards before Jin takes the first deity by the throat. Now this picks us up at Shang-Chi and his siblings, who hear the crackling noises coming up from above the dungeon. And as Shang-Chi tells his siblings to get back, Jin and his Quinn manage to break into the dungeon as it comes crumbling down. However, this action is able to free Shang-Chi and his family. Now with Shang-Chi and his siblings squaring off against their unrecognizable, overly powered grandfather, who has come to end Jiangchu's children once and for all, the Supreme Commander orders the House Champions to take Jin out, but he easily overpowers them. And it's here where Jin manages to hit Shang-Chi with a devastating blow that sends the Master of Kung Fu crashing through some rubble. And this is when Shang-Chu's spirit reappears to Shang-Chi, letting him know that there is only one hope to save his children. Therefore, Shang-Chi finally gives in to his father's advice. From there, Jiangsu guides his son towards the vault of the Jade Palace, while letting him know that the Jade Emperor's legendary rings are one of 5 sets of heavenly weapons, which consist of 1 hammer, 2 sabers, 9 daggers, 3 staffs, and 10 rings. For this was the legend that inspired the very structure of the 5-weapon society. And with Shang-Chi reaching the end of the vault, he comes across the legendary 10 rings. While in the background, Jiangsu relishes in the fact that his most favorite son has accomplished on what he could not, securing the 10 rings. Elsewhere in Chinatown, New York, we see the Quinn Riders flying over the city, and as the Quinn General reiterates their mission to eradicate the 5-weapon society, beginning with the home of the Supreme Commander, the House of the Deadly Hand. But they soon find themselves met with Shang's mother and Master Ling, defending the house, as Jing Li orders the men to fire the defenses at the intruders. But it's here where the Quinn Riders respond, by putting on the Tatawi masks on themselves and their Quins, and with that, all-out war breaks out. Back in the palace, while Shang's family is battling valiantly against Shin, it's sadly to no avail, and with Shin mocking them for fighting him like infants, he proceeds to end the fight once and for all. That is until Shang-Chi lets his family know that no one will be dying today, because it's here where the Master of Kung Fu begins to square off against Shin, whilst being armed with the legendary 10 rings. And that, folks, was the end of Shang-Chi, issue number 11, and thank you guys for checking out my video, as it truly means the world to me. And as always, I'm your majestic sayer over at SuperCliff, and if you guys are new to the channel, then do me a solid by smashing that like and subscribe button, and also hit the notification bell so that you'll never miss out on an upload, and so that you'll always be kept up to date with your favorite top tier comics happening in the comic book world. Now tell me, what are your thoughts and opinions on this issue? Are you guys excited for the final issue? Let me know down in the comment section below. And until the next video, peace.